This one I wrote in May 11th, 2013. Frustration with the satisfaction of knowing that this isn't what I dreamed about. That the dream is a reality unto itself. That the desire to escape surpasses the desire to embrace. I write gibberish. I can't articulate my feelings in a rational way. So I attempt to jumble words together, frantically trying to express something I can't make sense of. My grandfather is dying, and I won't accept it. He is 94 years old and the most brilliant man I've ever known. And slowly throughout the past 3 years, his mind has been dwindling to the point where he doesn't always know who I am anymore, or who he is, or anyone. It hurts to try to understand, to accept that my times with him of being his student, of being his grandson, are over. Now I am just some guy in the room, and he has lost the spark he once had. Sometimes it returns, though. Sometimes I catch a glimpse of the man he once was, and he knows me, and for 5 minutes I'm a teenager again, drinking in with fervor all the wisdom he has to bestow on me. And then moments later, I'm a stranger, and so is he. And I don't know how to describe how it feels to love someone who doesn't know you. I don't know how to express that. I don't know how to comprehend it. And I'm tired of this city's weather. I want it to decide whether it's hot or cold, just like I want my grandfather's mind to decide whether it exists or not. I want people in this city to open up and embrace me, because I can't go on much longer feeling this way without anyone to hold on to. But people can't embrace what they don't see, and this constant struggle of trying to reveal myself in a world that favors seclusion and secrets, that rewards those who lack emotion, that punishes the sensitive and favors pride, elegance, and self-admiration, has led me to be quiet and has forced me to the corners of rooms trying to blend in. And I'm tired of wanting. Does that make any fucking sense? I'm tired of wanting altogether, because it's disgusting. I have so much. I'm not hungry. I'm not living on the streets, but I'm never happy. I'm never satisfied. I don't think I've always been this way. And yeah, fuck it, I blame society. I was not built for this capitalist man-eat-man culture we live in. But I also can't imagine myself living in some commune where everyone pretends to love each other. So where the fuck do I fit into this mess? What the hell is it that I'm looking for? I thought I had found someone that could make me happy, but it ended up that she was a dream as well, just the most vivid. And I'm tired of all the flaky people in my life, and I'm extremely angry that I've become one. And I'm tired of all the people that care only enough to seem like they do. And I'm tired of judging people and feeling judged. And I'm tired of all the cravings. And I'm tired of wanting sex. And I'm tired of wanting to hear a good story so I could sleep. And I'm tired of struggling for rent. And I'm tired of wanting a cat. Just a cat. I grew up with cats, but now I can't even afford one. And I'm tired of thinking I'm not good enough for this world. And I'm tired of worrying about my job and constantly feeling like I'll be fired any day now and have to move back home to start over once again. But most of all, I wish I could talk to him about all these things, because he always knew what to say. But now he could barely remember. His wisdom is lost. Now I'm on my way and I'm not ready for it. Now I'm not on my own and I'm not ready for it. And I don't know if or when I will be. Lost in my emotions with no one to guide me through it anymore. I'm tired of having this sadness. I'm tired of wanting someone to take it from me when I know that's not possible. So what is there left to do? I'm asking you, what is there left for me to do? The heat is overwhelming me. The suffocation of my emotions and the intense stink of dying desperation. It's gross. The sadness is vomit-inducing. It's poison, the slowest working poison there is. Someday I'll either be rid of it or I will be consumed by it. But to not fight would be the greatest betrayal of the lessons he has taught me. So it is my responsibility to continue the battle, to continue arguing with myself, and proving that I am worthy of saying that I was a student of Leonard Sherwin, that I was his grandson, and that he was my friend. And although he might not remember himself anymore, I always will. Alright.
Nothing to add on the end of that one?
Well, we could talk about it.
All right.
I'm not mad at you.
You're always mad at me, John, because I make you do things.
Woo!
Woo!
What kind of things?
What kind of things? Like podcasts at 10 o'clock at night on a Sunday.
Alright, the background voice you might hear is one Joel.
Jolsif.
One Jolsif.
Jolsif Olsons.
That is another friend of the Demolas.
Yeah. The moles. Alright, so John just read his very nice poem. The very nice poem. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
5/11/2013?
Yeah.
It's a cool name.
I feel like I'm wearing the same shirt that I was wearing in the last podcast. But it is a different day.
I tried so hard to
Actually,
not
no,
wear...
it's a different shirt that looks similar, actually.
I tried so hard not to wear the same exact outfit for
You
this.
guys should wear the same clothes for every episode. But you never change it.
It'd be like...
Just we get older, but we look exactly like the same.
Beavis and Butthead, like that was it.
Yeah, man. We should do that.
All of time is just one day.
Exactly.
Every single video we do, we're just gonna wear this from now on. And if someone ever animates us, we have to be wearing something different.
What?
Yeah.
It's late today, folks. It's
late for John.
It's
what
a
it
quarter
is.
to 10. That's not that late, but it's a
Exactly.
Sunday night. It's a Sunday night. We just came from an open mic. I had like a lot of traveling that I did today to go to a birthday party for my friend Amanda Gordon.
Excuses.
And so I'm a little bit out of it, people, but we're doing this.
He's a snippety snappity right now. John's gonna go away to Italy, so I'm trying to get him when I can.
Yeah, a little over a week.
So
Next Tuesday.
So we're gonna do it, John, and you're gonna like it, and you're gonna take it, and you're
All
gonna
right,
enjoy
ask
it.
me questions. Let's go.
Wow, boy.
That was me clapping for those listening.
Take it easy. Take it easy, okay? So, John performed this at open mic earlier today, and it hit a thing in my brain, and it made me think. The part in particular was the part about the world and culture and all that. So was this more of a piece thinking about your grandpa, or was it like it segued into something about yourself and like reality and how you feel like you fit in it?
Yeah. I mean, like I say in the poem, it's just like I kind of laid out in the middle there all the stuff that I used to talk about with him, you know? That's why I think like it's sometimes painful for me to read that poem because I feel it even more so now, and now at least then he was still alive, and there were moments that he would be clear in his head, but now, I'm never going to be able to talk to him about those things again.
Yeah.
And I still feel the same way, like I don't know how to sort these things out on my own, and I feel like I'm even getting emotional talking about it now.
Yeah.
Because, like, my grandfather was the type of person, right, where he was the most brilliant man I'll ever know. And, like, so I'd be thinking about something going on in my life. And I'd be thinking about it for months, like, especially when I was, like, in college.
Yeah.
And, like, and then I'd come home to visit, and I'd sit down and talk with him, and I'd tell him the thing. And he'd be like, oh, you just need to do this. And it was always the right answer. Like, he would just have it right there, like, and I appreciated it then, but I appreciate it so much more now, even, like, than I did then. Like, I was so lucky to have that for a portion of my life, but now I just miss it so much more, because, like, he was, like, my mentor, my guide, and now I don't have that, and ever since he passed away, and even, like, here, before he passed away, because his mind was leaving, I feel lost, and I don't know if I'll ever, maybe when I'm in, like, my 80s or 90s, I'll have that knowledge that he had, but until that point, I don't know, I just feel lost.
Well, that's part of the gift, though, is because he gave you that, and now that's something that you
want to.
give. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I don't know.
You can
Find
pass that-
someone
that's something
to
you can pass
mentor.
on. That's,
But just a part of me feels like I'll never be at that level. You know, like he was just
Yeah.
so smart.
But you don't need to measure it. You just need to enjoy it. And it's a blessing because you got to experience that. A lot of people don't have that opportunity
No.
to have that kind of force in their life. That's a good thing.
Yeah, man.
Show. The
Feel-
disembodied voice.
Joseph.
Joseph in the
Ghost in
corner.
Dom's house.
Oh my God! I didn't know he had a name. Woo. No, that's just my couch. Woo.
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 The whoopee cushion.
Yeah, man. I feel like I feel what Joel is saying. Like, it's the next step is like passing it on to somebody, trying to be what he was for you for somebody else. Cause you have to.
Yeah.
You fill that hole by becoming that for someone else.
I mean, it's funny that you say that because that's what he always kind of encouraged as well. Like he always I mean, he would say this so many times that he was so many things in his life. He had like 5 master's degrees.
Yeah.
You know, like he was a psychologist. He was a teacher. He was a musician. But he said, like, you know, if it was narrowed down to one thing, he thought of himself as a teacher. That was
Yeah.
the thing. You know, that he believed it was like our responsibility to pass down our knowledge, you know, and teach
Definitely.
people, you know, what's right, what's wrong, you know, like,
Mhm.
Those are some of the best people because you have to make sacrifices to be giving like that. Mostly, you know, you can't be selfish.
Oh,
You
yeah.
have to give your time. You have to give, you know, be compassionate. You have to. There's so many things that's.
and
that's
he
why
did.
It's a gift to be around to have that influence because it's not something. You know, some people might just have it, but it's something that you have to nurture. I'm sure he had to work to get that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just like anything.
definitely.
I mean, what's great is that,
You should move closer, Joel, so we can hear you better.
When we do the ghost, it has to be just like just be very soft in the mixed. So it's
I mean, something that's great is that when I was a junior in college, I took an anthropology course, and for like the final project of that course, we had to interview someone about their life.
Cool.
And part of the assignment was that it shouldn't be a relative or someone that you know very well.
Yeah.
But I went up to the teacher and I said, listen, I know you said it shouldn't be a relative, but my grandfather has like lived like the most interesting life. I'm not going to find someone better than him.
Most interesting man in the world.
And so he gave me permission, and it was great because like I recorded him and then I had to transcribe it,
Yeah.
which took like days to like do, type it up. And the worst thing that's ever happened to me, well, not the worst thing that's ever happened. One of the worst things that's ever happened is that I lost the tape
No.
of his voice. I have no idea where it is. I turned my house upside down. I don't
Yeah.
know what happened to it.
It's on the news.
But I have the transcription. Yeah, I have it in a Google Doc that I like share every year since he passed away. And maybe I'll put a link to it in like
Yeah, that'd be cool.
the YouTube or podcast or whatever. Where you can just read about his life. And
That's another way you can share too, is just by doing that and having people get to know him through
Yeah.
you. Like that's continuing his work in a way, just because he's reaching people, and you know they get to hear his story and see, you know,
yeah.
what he's all about.
But I wish I mean, it would take a while for me to pull it up, but one part in that interview that I've reread a bunch of times is when he talks about when he went through a time of feeling his like depression, you know, and how he got out of it.
What
And
age was that?
I don't know how old he must have been in his like 30s or 40s.
Sounds about right.
Cause it was when he already had like my father and my uncle, you know, cause it was when like talking about sacrifices that he made,
Yeah.
where he told the story of that he was I think he was assistant principal at the time, and there was like a union strike that was going to happen, and the problem with it was that the teachers wanted the principal and the assistant principal to shut down the school. But he knew that there were underprivileged children that the only time that they would even get breakfast and lunch was through the school. And they didn't have any place to go. So he said, you could do your strike, but I'm going to keep the school open.
Yeah.
And the teachers were furious at him. And he said, like, these were his coworkers, his friends, and they were writing, like, death threats to him. Like, they threatened, like, his children, my dad. Like, this wasn't in an interview, but I remember him telling me once that, like, someone mailed him where they drew out the route that my father walked to school every day.
I feel like you told me this one point.
And, like, he was incredibly depressed. And, but he kept the school open, and he had, like, volunteers come in to, like, help teach the classes or at least, like, take care of things. And then, like, after the strike was over, everyone in the faculty were still against him, and they wouldn't give him an office.
What?
And so he took, like, a janitor's closet and turned it into an office for himself. And they couldn't fire him because he didn't do anything wrong. But he needed to come up with stuff to do. So he was a musician, so he started, like, giving music lessons to, like, kids that were there. And, like, then he started, like, I think he talked about that he would also, after work, like, started playing with a local orchestra again and stuff.
That's cool.
He talked about that, life, like, is doing. That you always have to have goals. You always have to be doing something.
Yeah.
And that also life is being with people. You can't just allow yourselves to be alone. You have to go out and do stuff. And I hear a little bit of him when you talk to me about that stuff of, like,
yeah, I'm all about that,
John, you have to get out of your apartment and
Yeah.
do something.
Because
and
it's
be
like that,
proactive.
That's self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, I'm bummed out. I don't want to do anything. And then that just, like, perpetuates itself forever. Because when you stay home and you're in that mood, you're not going to want to go out and do anything anyway. So you just got to be like, hey, let me shut up and do something.
I think my grandfather would be happy that I've become friends with you.
Well, I feel like what you were saying about your grandfather, you were saying about me. Like, the way, like, whenever you ask me my opinion about something, I'm like, John, just do this. And you're like, you're just right. Like, and I said, I'm not trying to, like, pump myself up or anything, but sometimes that happens.
Yeah.
Like, I say something to somebody, and they're like, dude, I should have listened to you in the first place. Like, I don't know how you knew it. Like, same thing with Audrey.
Yeah, it's hard to see through the haze and just pinpoint it, but you do. I mean, I've seen that in action. You can.
See, that's why you like me, John.
So yeah, it's just I still feel a lot of the things in that poem. And it's one of the few things I was telling you before started to tell you off camera is that usually when I write a poem, it all comes out at once.
Yeah.
And then, like, I'll go back and read it and edit some things here and there. But typically within, like, an hour, the poem is written and never touch it again.
Yeah.
And this was one poem that I wrote that, I don't remember. I have the first draft of it somewhere probably still, but I don't even remember. But I remember it was very depressing.
Mm-hmm.
It just ended on a very dark note. And then I thought about it over a period of, like, 24 hours and thinking, like, writing about my grandfather, who was such an optimistic person and life-affirming person, to end it on that note just didn't feel right. It felt like it was betraying him somehow.
Yeah.
And so I went back to it, and I added in more positivity, and I changed the ending of it. And, as, like, a writer, I always feel like I'm trying to, I'm always trying to articulate to the best of my ability the emotion that I feel. And somehow, like, even though I had to go back and edit it and rewrite certain things, like, I feel like this is one of the poems that gets closest to the core of what I wanted to say. That's why it's one of my favorite poems that I've written.
But your reaction to it, that embodies the whole your point too as well, because he influenced you to look at it through a different set of eyes in a way, and if you weren't thinking about it in terms of him, it wouldn't have ended up like that, and that was the point of what the lessons that he tried to show you,
Yeah.
in a way.
Yeah.
Definitely, man.
Thanks. Yeah.
Joel coming in with
The ghost back again.
the ghost coming in with the bullseyes to John's heart.
Anything else you want to...
So what was the original ending? Like, everything sucks?
I don't remember exactly, but I think I originally ended it with,
Like, you're bummed out?
I think I ended it with, the heat is overwhelming me, the suffocation of my emotions, and the intense stink of dying depression. It's gross, the sadness is vomit-inducing, it's poison, the slowest working poison there is. Someday I'll either be rid of it, or I will be consumed by it.
Oof.
And I think that's how I ended it. And then the next day I added in, but to not fight would be
See,
the
there you go.
greatest
Just
betrayal.
that's it. That's that one line.
Yeah.
To not fight.
Yeah.
Yep. That's it, man. So let me see. What's the next thing I wanted to say about? To say stuff about. So, did your grandfather like influence the way that you see society and all of that, or is that kind of you're just kind of like putting it as a side note? Like you're tired of wanting.
No, I think that's just all me.
Yeah.
You
Because I
know?
feel like the way that you put that in is like so perfect in the context of like what he's trying to teach you. Because that's how I always try to see things. Like the way that what you're saying in this poem about like, oh yeah, like this is just created by society, me wanting this, me wanting that. Why can't I just be happy with what I have? I have enough to live and survive and be happy as a person, but for some reason I'm not,
Well,
and I'm left wanting.
I don't know if I feel like maybe you and I have talked about this, but I remember one time I kind of did talk to him about something like this, where this was before he had dementia, where I said, like, I don't understand, like, I never feel satisfied.
Yeah.
And he laughed, and he said to himself,
So cool.
he said to himself, he thinks he's supposed to feel satisfied. And like, what do you mean? He's like,
Ooh.
you're never supposed to feel satisfied. He said, in fact, anybody that says that they're satisfied, he thinks that that's a form of depression. You should never feel content with life. You should always be wanting to do something more. And that's, again, he always said you always have to have goals. And he said the thing about achieving your goals that sucks is that then you have to come up with new goals.
Yeah.
And in the interview I have with him, he says, like, I have goals for the next 10, 20 years. He said, I'm 88 years old. I'm not going to live that long. But he said, I always have goals. And he said that, therefore, I wake up every day and feel so happy because I always have so much I have to do. I can do.
You see, that's where I try to get you to understand.
Yeah, I
you're
know
like,
it logically.
Yeah,
but
because then like you can also get totally overwhelmed by that. You're like, oh my
Right.
god, I have so much stuff I have to do. I don't know where to start. So let me just not do anything.
Well, see, that's the thing.
'Cause
Like,
it's so overwhelming.
now, as I'm older and he's not around anymore, I have so many things I wish I could have asked him. Like,
Yeah.
I wish I asked him, like, yeah, but how does that not overwhelm you?
Yeah.
You know, like, how, and that's the
Because
thing.
we were
I
talking
could never
about that
ask
last
him.
time, about that thing with like anxiety and like the way that you see it. Like you can see it in a one way that's like, oh my god, I have all this stuff that I have to do, or you can be like, hey, I have all this stuff that I get to do. Like
Exactly,
I can do
yeah.
these things. I have the time and the ability to be able to do this stuff. And then once I finish this stuff, I can do even more stuff.
Right.
Rather than like once I finish this, it's just gonna be a buttload of more stuff I gotta do after this, and it's gonna never end for the rest of my life. Like you can see it like that too, you know.
Yeah. I don't know. How do you not get overwhelmed?
Who said I didn't? I totally do all the time. I don't know. I like if I ever went to a psychiatrist or a psychologist, they'd probably say that I'm a wreck and everything that I do to like fix my issues is wrong. But as long as it's working for me, I'm fine with it. So there's some feelings that I get that I'm just like, you know what, that feeling sucks. It's not a realistic feeling. Like me feeling that way is not gonna be It's not gonna help me progress. It's not gonna help anything. So let's just not feel that way. Like when you wake up in the morning, you're like, oh, I gotta go to work. Like this sucks. Like I'm like, hey, let me wake up and switch that to, hey, I have a job. I'm gonna get money and I can buy food and eat and live and be alive. The end. Like let's move on from there. And then once you get into it, like me and you, like once you get into it, like then you're not thinking about whatever bummed out or depressed thing that you're thinking about.
Yeah.
Cause like you'd be like, oh, like you have a trip or you have something that you're worried about. It's like just shut that out. Don't be worried and just do it. And then once you're in it, you don't have to worry about it because your brain is too focused on like 20 other things in the moment that you got to worry about. Because that's one of the things that you're saying is like we're so like clouded and crowded with all these things that we don't get to like be able to step back and be like, hey, this is good. Like this is a good thing because you're too busy focusing on, oh, what do I got to do after this? Like,
yeah.
It's the same thing like when I do one of these videos or I do the open mic or something. It's like, even just today we were doing the open mic. I was hosting an open mic and I was like, in the middle of it, I was like, oh man, I gotta work tomorrow. It's like, and then I got caught up in that. Like it's gonna suck. Like I just want to go home and sleep. But then I was like, let me just stop and be here and do this while I'm here and have fun and not worry about whatever's next because that can come next. And then whatever you're worrying about doesn't even matter because you'll be sitting at home on Sunday night dreading the next day and not doing something that you could be doing. It's like either way you're going to wake up in the morning, you know? So why not just wake up in the morning and deal with the morning when it's there? Like have that
it's so
like
hard to get in that mindset.
It's so hard, but it's like you have to beat yourself up. Just be like, shut up, dumb brain. Like stop for a second and just move through the motions of what you got to do.
Another part in that poem, yeah, it's interesting that I talked about it.
That I'm tired of thinking. I'm not good enough for this world. And that I'm not good enough for this world is part of the thinking. So if you just stop thinking,
it's
then
like
you
wouldn't
get
your own
to
archetype and you're living it and it's just doing a loop around.
Exactly,
that's
man.
the glasses you're seeing it through.
It's that loop.
Yeah, and you almost create that world for yourself because that, you know.
Well, what I think is relative actually to this too, in a way, of what I was just gonna say is I don't want to call out names, but like, because the guy I'm talking about is apparently a controversial figure on YouTube already. But I was watching this guy's videos and he was talking about like gender, right?
Yeah.
And he was talking about that, you know, typically, again, not like everybody, but like typically in our society, women are what could be categorized as agreeable, and most men are like disagreeable.
It's the
And, like,
total opposite I've had for my entire life.
Well, that's what I'm saying, because like he was talking about
It's
that
crazy.
like men
That's
tend to
crazy.
be attracted to like what is deemed as feminine as like agreeable or empathetic and like emotional, and women are more attracted to men that are like stoic and like antagonistic and, you know, bring on conflict, you know?
Yeah.
And like he was kind of saying like if you're an agreeable man, it's gonna be harder for you, you know? And like a part of me is like, maybe a lot of me is thinking like maybe he's right, because he's kind of validating the fears I've always had, that it's harder for me to like find a woman because like
'Cause you're nice.
I'm an emotional, empathetic man. Yeah.
But then there's always that other end of it. It's like if you're the empathetic one, you could always attract like the opposite end of that, like a woman has those
Yeah, so
masculine
it's like I need to find
characteristics.
another anomaly, you know? It's like that's harder.
But it's probably not as bad as you think, because it's, you know, everybody is so different, and there are so many people like that. It's just how do you connect them, or you have to make the steps to actually break the cycle, and if anything, just step back from it and realize what it is, so you know you're doing it, and then know that you have a choice to be like, well, is that going to stop me from pursuing this thing that can make me happy? You know, am I just going to shut down?
Well, yeah.
Like,
I mean, no, you can't shut down,
Yeah.
but it
so
like
that's
bothers me
That's where
because
your grandfather's work comes in. Is
Right.
That, like, that teaches you how to like get back on your feet and have that mindset of like, okay, is this helping me or is this hurting me? Is this destructive or constructive?
yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like I talk about in that poem that it bothered me even back then. You know, this was like 5 years ago, that we live in a society that favors what did I say? Like, pride, elegance, and self-admiration.
Yeah.
And,
That's all phony. And false.
Punishes the sensitive, And I always thought of myself like being sensitive and empathetic and sympathetic and listening to people and like trying to understand people is a good thing.
Yeah.
But for some reason, our society does not value that. Or if they do, it's in this weird, twisted way of like, no, you should do that. We encourage that, but not like you should do it without us giving you anything for it. Like,
well, I think too, most of the people, it's so many people that are like that is because they want to stay. They don't want to be different because it's harder to be different. You have to put in the hard work like that your grandfather did and that you're trying to do, and it's to put in the hard work and to like look at things from different perspectives and not be like, oh, I need the white picket fence and I need 2.5 kids and I need to get married by this. If you put all these restrictions on you, because that's what has been in the movies or in the media or that's just how the culture evolved. It just doesn't. It's I can see that how it's really a lot harder to break from that chain and not fall in line and being like, oh well, this if I'm on this track, like I don't have to think about it. I just need to do it because this is what people do, and I don't need to put in the hard work because it's not comfortable. You're gonna trying to break your habits and trying to do stuff like that. You have to have a lot of. You're gonna fall down a lot, and you have to have the mindset that you gotta learn from it, and you almost gotta aim into it and just aim into the fall and the failure because that's where that's another stigma in the country is that failure is just like look at us in school. It's like right away you're getting graded and lumped into like better classes and put into better colleges and better. It's just like if that's the mindset and the way that we're teaching people, it's hard to break from that because then it's a hell of a lot harder to go against the grain, I think.
Well, that like we were talking about that last time with like filling that script and all that. But I feel like the thing with being like nice and sensitive and all that comes from like back in the day when people would like be competing for like your livelihood. Like if you're a strong guy who's like, I don't care about anybody, I'm gonna take this land, I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna take that lady, and you got another guy who's like being nice and like sweet about it, he's not gonna live very long. He's not gonna have a lot because those sharks are gonna take advantage of you.
Yeah, but think of all the great artists, and they are kind of the beta guy. It's like they had
really, all they're
shitty
gaining
lives.
is materialistic things. So if that doesn't say that you can't look at it in a more spiritual sense or in a sense of like, well, I might not have all this stuff and this great job, but I have the best friends and I have I'm able to work in my art and my craft and I'm able to help people and teach, which is like you said, one of the most important things is to be able to teach other people because that's it's an important thing. Everybody has a different perspective and everybody wants to like yell over everybody else's voice, but sometimes it's important to listen and to learn too, even if you don't agree. And that's a skill that's not taught, and it's important to have like the empathy and to be able to,
Something that I discussed in one of my other poems somewhere. I don't remember which one right now, but it's always weird for me to say this because it's like the best compliment in a way. Let me just say it. So like. One of the things my grandfather said to me, like, multiple times in my life, like, it was a consistent thing he would say to me when I would talk to him about stuff going on, is he would say I was born 1,000 years too soon. And so what he would talk about is he said that, because first time he said something like this is I remember... I asked him once, because he was an atheist, right? Like a strict atheist. And so I asked him once, when I was a bit older, to talk to him about these things. I said, is there anything that you do have faith in? And he said, yes. And I was surprised that he said yes, because he was all about science. He said, I have faith that in 1,000 years, the world will be a better place than it is now. And he said, and he talks about this in his interview a little bit too, is that he said, but the trick is that you have to work towards that now. You have to, like, he said, every day that you don't work to make the world a better place It's going to be 1,000 years in that day.
Yeah, it really takes time. If you trace
But-
over history and you see how different each culture and time was, it takes time to move a whole
Right.
population of people into a different awareness or to change. It really does.
But I didn't realize back then the huge compliment that was, number one, of like him saying that he thought I was that society, like
Yeah.
what I feel and what I think. And then I write about it somewhere, I don't remember which poem, but like realizing, after he's gone now, realizing he kind of put a lot of responsibility on me. Because like, it's like now I feel a responsibility to live up to that and to pass that on. And like, but although it's a lot of responsibility, it has saved me at times when I am feeling depressed or like having weird suicidal thoughts. I'm like, no, Grandpa assigned you that responsibility to pass that on.
Yeah.
You
That
can
I
tell
have
coming
to
from
continue.
his mouth and him saying it in that way, he's making a point to give you that lesson, and that's just a direct lesson to you.
That's exactly what we said from
Yeah.
the get-go, man. We were like, this, like, you fill that void with passing on what he told you.
Yeah.
And you just said exactly what
Yeah.
you got to pass on. Being better,
So it's like, but now it's like the conflict of, all right, don't I want to be happier with my job? Don't I want to find my one true love?
There's always going to be a
and
next
all those
desire.
things.
If you look at it as desire, it's always going to be a next one. You're never going to be satisfied if it's just like, you can have goals and stuff you want to move towards, but you don't let it shape,
Yeah, but
You're tired
it's
of
the
wanting
knowledge
a
will be
cat.
harder. Yeah.
You're tired of wanting a cat, John. Right? Just a cat.
And it's funny because after that, I got 2 cats with my roommate, and then he took them when he left. So now I don't have a cat.
See? It's that cycle.
that's
damn
the
cycle.
moral
I
of
mean,
the story.
It's really
The
hard
moral
going
of the
from having
story,
a
man.
cat to not having a cat.
The moral of the story is you get a cat and then you don't get a cat. And then you get a cat again and then you don't have a cat again. It's a circle of cats.
All right, how long do you want to go here?
I don't know. I don't know how much time we even did so far. It doesn't say.
Oh man.
Okay, 38.
All right, you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, we can wrap it up. Have a shorter one. I feel like it's good.
Woo! 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 That's Dom's couch, by the way.
We're gonna teach little kids in the future. The couch goes woo. One of those spinny things. The couch goes woo.
Oh man.
Joseph, anything you want to add?
No, I'm just a ghost over here in the corner.
I'm just a ghost in the corner, just talking when I want to. Not
I
when
will
John
say one
tells
last
to.
thing is that during this whole process, the one thing I learned is that you have to give yourself still when things go bad or you make the wrong decision, you know it, or you feel that you fail, you have to still give yourself the self-love of like being like it's okay and not be down on yourself, because it's so destructive, and that's a hard thing to do, but you can see it's like really it's
He reminded me of something else my grandpa used to tell me, where he would say, because, I have an anxiety disorder. So when we first realized this when I was in high school, he said, what you need to do is realize that, you've heard this part of like mistakes are just lessons learned.
Yeah.
And so he said, that it's okay to make mistakes. And he said, actually, you know what? I want to assign you have to make at least one mistake every day.
that's a great lesson, because
That's
really like
yeah.
if you look at it as like I want to make a mistake, because
You have to make one mistake
if you don't
every
make
day.
any mistakes, you never learn, and it's almost there's no magic in it, because you can't be like, oh man, well it brings your brain through the whole problem solving. Is like, well, why did it fail, or why do I look at it this way? And if you don't have that, there's no chance to step away from it and analyze it. It's just empty.
Well, that's like your parents trying to pass you down stuff. You're like, you know what? I'll tell you this a million times not to do that, but you're not going to learn until you experience it.
Yeah.
Because, like, I've had that so many times. Like, people told me, don't do that, don't do this. Like, and then I'll do it anyway. But then once it goes wrong, I will never do it again,
You almost have to go through that.
Yeah,
learning
like
to-
it like burns into your brain so deeply that you're like, all right, got it,
You're
done.
the guy that touched the stove.
Yep.
Just that awareness. So you have to have that experience with the awareness.
Yeah.
And make the connection and be like, okay, I'm done.
burn yourself in the fire to learn not to do that again.
See, where's Audrey when you need
Hey, I don't know.
it?
She would burn herself with the fire multiple times. Live in the fire.
We're talking
Be the
about
fire.
Audrey DeMola, Dominic DeMola's older sister.
Sister.
Nice.
Maybe she'll be on here
Sestra.
one of the days.
She just released a new book called Wild
Yeah, I was thinking one of the next
Fire?
one.
Wild Light.
Light. Sorry, Wild Light.
Get it right, John.
By
Beautiful,
Audrey
beautiful,
DeMola.
beautiful book, and she's a very, just like all DeMolas, very talented and special people.
Pshaw. But yeah, I was thinking one of the next podcasts we can have her do a poem in the beginning, and then speak about that.
Yeah,
I think that would be a cool thing.
yeah, totally.
So thanks to special guest, Ghost of the Joseph. Thank you for John for sticking through it, even though he wanted to go home like 2 hours ago.
Yeah, after the open mic, we had to stand on the corner in the cold and talk for like an hour.
Audrey's fault. I blame her completely. Me and John were on our way to podcast, and she was like, "No, I want karaoke," and then we were like, "We got a podcast. We got to cast the pods."
All right, so let's do. I'll do my end thing. This has been NYC Geek Society. Like, share, subscribe. Tell your mom. Tell your dad. Tell your older sister. Tell your Joseph ghost.
Tell your cat that you're only gonna have.
Tell your cycle of cats. Tell your cat to not leave you.
All right, shut her down, Dom.
Never. Till we meet again.
Dumb